Sometimes you might see a resume for someone who's looking for a software developer job, but then you see on their resume they've been a librarian for 10 years and, something that just completely doesn't match up.
I ain't even trying to preach, but remember round with the deacon. Windows low in the wintertime, me and my dog freeze. Motivation if you need it. Like Rowdy ball hard every season. They gon' hate, so get it.
What's up, YouTube, recruiters, IT professionals, and anyone else who's listening? I am the Deacon, and welcome to the Deacon Speaks channel, where I pretty much talk about whatever it is I feel needs to be said. But in today's case, we're speaking about a common mistake that recruiters make on a daily basis, I think, and admittedly one that I even made myself this week. So if you're a recruiter or you're looking to get into the recruiting profession, go ahead and pull up a chair. You're probably going to want to hear this. Before that, though, if this is your first time here or you haven't done it already, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, and like always, hit that like button like it was talking about your mama. We can't let that slide. So go ahead and restore your mother's honor so I can get to the video and tell you about how I admittedly disqualified a candidate prior to us even speaking and why this was a huge mistake. So I wanted to share this story to really point out why it's important not to disqualify candidates based on what you see on their resume or their LinkedIn profile before you even spoke to them. Because if you've been recruiting for a while, you know that week by week, sometimes the results are very up and down. Maybe you speak with a lot of very strong candidates. Maybe the whole week you're coming up with nothing, or it's kind of a mixed bag. That's just kind of how recruiting goes. This week, though, one candidate really sticks out in my mind without really getting into detail as to where he works and what he's doing. I think there was just a lot of depth within his role, a lot of maturity, mentorship to junior developers, large amounts of data that he's working with. From a customer or client standpoint, there was a lot of collaboration there. He really drove a lot of the process at a very large scale for a certain application or web service that I guarantee you, if you're watching this, this is like a type of service that you use on an everyday basis. So very big. And his part within this process, it was just very impressive, at least from a recruiter standpoint. Not only that, the conversation itself was just very pleasant, very refreshing, really seamless conversation. Nothing was forced there. We were cracking up about something, whether it was technology related or life or whatever. We had a good time. It was a great conversation. Leading up to that call, this was a call that was scheduled the week prior, and unfortunately for a whole week straight, it was this one that in my head I'm thinking, I'm not really looking forward to this one. Based on his resume, profile, LinkedIn profile, it doesn't seem like a strong candidate. I think I was also feeling kind of tired that day. Sometimes that motivation isn't always at the level that you want it to be. You can start to get those thoughts of, man, can I just reschedule this call to tomorrow when I have a little more energy and, I just don't feel like doing this right now. If I were to do that or made up some excuse, which I know some recruiters do, and cancel the call altogether, that was a mistake having that mindset and going into the call thinking this, but it could have been a bigger mistake if we never even had this conversation because, the candidate turned out to be a rock star. I think the lesson here is if you don't have that conversation. Now, granted, if you're a recruiter and your desk is set up anyway, like how I have it, candidates are free to book a call with me, right off the bat without even responding to my messages or whatever. The scheduling link is there. All you have to do is click on it and book it if there's a time that works for you. So yeah, sometimes you might see a resume for someone who's looking for a software developer job, but then you see on their resume they've been a librarian for 10 years and, something that just completely doesn't match up. Now, of course, that's an extreme and there are exceptions, but I think the lesson here is the mindset that you have going into calls. Yes, we need to screen candidates and make sure they're qualified enough to push them on to the next round. But from a different standpoint, our job is also to be on the phone as much as possible. So if you're too lazy to get on the phone, that might be a problem. When I think about the fact that if I never called this software developer because I was too lazy or I didn't feel like he was good enough, I would have missed out on a really good candidate that, if we're talking about metrics and numbers and production, that's one talented professional that I would not have provided to my stakeholders, my company. And I've come across very similar situations like this before. I know this happens, but I think this week is a reminder for me to never get caught off guard by that again. Or the next time I'm too tired to take a call and like bring the energy, or I'm just writing somebody off without giving them a chance. Like, no, you need to go into this like it was someone you were excited about, because you never know. It's just funny to me, the ones that I am not the most confident about, there plenty of times they end up being the strongest out of the bunch, and vice versa. Some other candidates that I've worked with over the years, everything on the resume, ooh, this is beautiful, this is great, this is the person right here, then move to the first conversation, that phone screen, and at that point they've lived up to what I saw on their resume and probably went beyond, in my opinion. Get them through to the process, and final interview comes, and where I was thinking I'm providing an all-star over to these hiring managers and they're gonna love this candidate, after listening to the hiring manager's feedback on the candidate, turns out they shouldn't have been in the arena at all. And that's not a good feeling. Recruiting can sometimes be a very humbling experience. What you thought was one thing may turn out to be the other. I know this sounds kind of wrong maybe, but you're dealing with a human product. A lot of moving pieces there, a lot of things that you can't see, a lot of variables. So it's not black and white. And it goes to show this is why I am a recruiter and not the hiring manager, because I'm not qualified to make those calls up front. So yes, recruiters, we do it. We got to do our best. We got to do our research. We got to learn about technology or whatever industry you're in. Got to know what questions to ask and dig when you feel like, all right, this is the candidate's not really answering my question. Dig at them a little bit. Yes, of course. But in the end of the day, what I learned last week is that even though I put a lot of work into this job, my assessment in the end of the day on a candidate, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't hold much weight. That's why we're the prerequisite, or we are the initial stage of the hiring process. It's helpful for any hiring teams for us to kind of funnel in a talent pool to them so that they can be confident that at least who they end up speaking with, it's not going to be completely off the mark. But as the gatekeepers of the hiring process, be careful about closing the door or shutting the door of opportunity on someone that probably really deserves to be at the company that you're working for and who could really provide a lot of value to the business. But anyway, I know that was kind of a ramble and a rant on my part, and my point might have been a little all over the place, but if you made it this far, I'm pretty confident you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. That's it for now. Once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't do that before, you must not love your mama if you didn't hit that like button. That's the Deacon, and I'm out.